And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. This is the sports show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's Athletics. Dean Beckman along with Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau. This is our last show before the Christmas holiday, and so a lot of the students will be leaving campus and going back to their respective homes for Christmas and New Year's. But Donny, we have one student here today who's not home yet. Neil Heacox is his name, from the swimming and diving team. Neil is a breaststroker, also swims in the individual medley, and so we'll have him on the show a little bit later. He's a senior. He's got a little longer distance to go. He's got to go to California. Yeah,
he'll go home to San Diego for a month, and that we talked to him when we were off camera, and he's looking forward to spending a month with his family and friends, and hopefully we can make sure that he comes back for second semester, because I know Coach Lindquist is going to need him in terms of that men's swimming and diving program.
Yep,
so it'll be nice to have him on.
Neil's off to a great start this year, and big things coming up second semester for the swimming and diving team. We actually haven't had Eric on the show yet, so that'll be next semester in the springtime sometime as well. So we'll talk to Neil in a little bit here on the Cardinals Nest, but now we'll take a look at the past week in St. Mary's Athletics, and we start out with the men's basketball team, Donny, and last time they were on their way up to Concordia when we taped this show last week to Moorhead. It's a long trip, and they played pretty well up there, but they did come away losing that one by the score of 85-78, so a little disappointing there, as they are still looking for their first win of the season. But I'll tell you what, Michael Burfine continues to put on quite a show.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate right now. They've played 8 games and only one of them has been home, because I think people really need to watch Mike play. It's he's having an amazing season. He in the 2 games last week at St. John's and at Concordia, he averaged 20 plus points a game and 9.5 rebounds. Was named the MIAC Player of the Week, so he certainly deserved that. He had 26 points against St. John's, which at that point was a career high, and then 2 days later he scores 38 in a loss against Concordia. So it was a great week for Mike. I know he'd rather trade that in for a couple of wins, but certainly an honor that Mike deserved. And when you can average 32 points in 2 games and almost have a double-double in both games, that's pretty outstanding performance. And I know that Mike kind of played in the shadows last year with Chris Palmer here, and then a number of the seniors that were here. He kind of was able to kind of stay in the shadows. Well, Coach Landrum needs him out in the forefront, and there's no secret now that the guy can play. Mm-hmm. And for people around the Winona area, they probably saw him play in high school. He's a Lewiston native and played for Lewiston Altura, and he was just having an outstanding junior year, and very deserving of that MIAC Player of the Week honor.
Yeah, I mean, quite a testament to him. There's not too many teams that get off to an 0-8 start that have Player of the Week honors, and so it's a testament to him, how hard he's working, how hard he's playing, and even though other teams are keying on him, he continues to excel.
Absolutely, and like we talked about, it's a great performance for him, and does say a lot about how they're playing. You mentioned that they're 0-8, but really they're playing very good basketball. Right now, the key for them is they've got to get off to a better start. They're heading into halftime. Ironically, the last 3 games they've headed into halftime with an 11-point deficit, and so not only do they have to try and make up those 11 points, but that's tough to do. We've talked about that in previous shows, that it's hard enough to stay with these teams in the MIAC, but when you've got to make up a halftime deficit, you just seem to run out of time, and they've played very good second halves in each of their, basically in all 8 of their games. It's been that first half getting off to a good start that really has been their struggle so far.
Yeah, this is not a team that turns the basketball over. Their point guard, Evan Peterson, is really playing well. The one thing I've noticed defensively that seems to be a deficiency at this point, they're not blocking shots. They don't have on the interior that intimidating presence, and I think that's been what's hurting them a little bit defensively.
Yeah, and you talk about that. That certainly is something that they've got to work on. And then offensively, they need to continue to get to the free throw line. I know Coach Landrum prides himself on the fact that his teams are very good free throw shooting teams. Right now, they're shooting just below 80% for the season as a team. Mike Burfine has been unbelievable. Last 3 games, he's 27 for 29, so he's shooting outstanding. But that's what they want to do. They were the top free throw shooting team in the nation in Division III last year, and they pride themselves on that. So they need to continue to get that ball inside and force teams to foul them, and when they do, they're going to convert their free throws. And I know that that's something that Coach Landrum prides them on, is their ability to shoot free throws.
Yep. And you mentioned Pat Freeman. They're going to have to look to him to be a presence in the interior. And even though he has slipped off a little bit from what he started the season from a scoring standpoint, he's right behind Michael in all of these games as the second leading scorer.
Absolutely. He was in double figures as well at Concordia, and so they're a good 1-2 punch. And you mentioned Evan Peterson, and he's a great distributor of the ball, and he scored 15 points at St. John's, so he has the ability to score points as well. So they have the tools right now. It's just a matter of getting everybody in the right position and putting it all together at the same time. And right now, I guarantee you there's not a team on the campus that's trying harder and working harder than this group is. It's just they haven't been able to get over that hump so far.
Donnie, as we tape this, they're getting set to play Viterbo right here on HBC Channel 25 on Wednesday night. After that, they are off until January 4th when they go to St. Peter, and then on the 7th to St. Paul. They take on Gustavus on the 4th, and then McAllister College on the 7th there. So a long layoff, and I think that might be good. They can reevaluate things and then come back strong, and then it's pretty much straight conference games when they get back for the new year.
Yeah, the game against Viterbo is the final conference game of the season for the non-conference game for the Cardinals. And, I talked to Coach Landrum about that. I asked him if it's a tough time to have such a long break, and he said, it is, but we all have to do it. Every team is pretty much in the same boat where you've got the layoff over the holidays. St. Mary's chose to play a couple of their non-conference games over the Thanksgiving break, whereas other teams might be playing them in that last week of December. So they may have an advantage there, but everybody has to deal with the break and not being in school and that kind of those kind of issues. But like he said, everybody's got to do it, and they'll come back, probably late December and start getting ready for Gustavus and McAllister. And then finally, maybe they'll get a couple of home games where we can actually really start to have people see the talent that's on this team, because there really is a lot of talent on this basketball team.
So hopefully they can get a win right before break against Viterbo and head into the break with their first win of the season. The women's basketball team, a couple of very close games. They went to Concordia College there along with the men's team. And Concordia, each year they're one of the best teams in the conference, Donnie, and the Cardinals women, they played well, but a loss there 63-61. That is Coach Mandy Pearson's, that's where she graduated from, and so she would have loved to knock off the Cobbers there, but they came up 2 points short.
Yeah, and she'll be the first to tell you that it is a very, very tough place to play. Not just the drive up there, but it's just the atmosphere and the gym itself. It's a very tough place to play. And like we talked about on the men's side, the women's side right now, getting off to a good start has been their Achilles heel. They were down by 15 against Concordia, and then they were down by down in double digits again against Bethel on Saturday. And while the second half has been outstanding, you talk about that 63-61 loss, St. Mary's actually led with a minute to go by a bucket. So, they got all the way back. They had the lead going into the last minute, but weren't able to hang on. And it was the same kind of an issue against Bethel on Saturday, where they actually, they got within 6 points in the second half. They just ran out of time. When you're having to make up that many points, it's a very tough thing to do when you've only got 20 minutes of a second half to go. So very good performances, just not able to get over that hump.
And Donnie, what's been, do you think, the cause of some of these slow starts for St. Mary's? Is it poor shooting in the first half? Is it lack of intensity? What seems to get them behind early?
Well, I think all of the above kind of hit things on the head. I think a lot of it is, it's poor shooting, maybe poor shot selection, maybe not converting a couple of baskets underneath that they need to convert. And I think some of it has to do with the opponents they're playing as well. You're talking about two of the better teams in the conference, two of the top teams in the conference. Bethel's still unbeaten in conference play, so they're certainly a formidable foe. And I think you've got some younger kids on this team that haven't learned yet what it takes to stop another team from getting on a run. Coach Pearson will talk about that all the time. We need to make sure that we limit our opposition's runs. And in the first half right now, that's where their struggle is teams are getting on an 8, maybe 9, maybe 10-point run, and they're not getting that key stop or getting that key bucket to stop that run and keep the game close. And really, that's the key right now.
Right. As I look to turnovers, continue to be a bit of a problem on the season. 116 turnovers. The opposition has turned it over 95 times, so still turning it over a little too much. Though this is a very deep Cardinals team, they regularly play 10 players, and eventually they'll get Brittany Begrowitz back, so they'll play 11 players. When she comes back, she's typically a starter.
Absolutely. And we're talking about a team that's got a lot of young young individuals, especially at the point guard position and at the guard position. So, you're going to have some of that adjustment period, and they're going to probably make some mistakes mentally and physically that second semester you won't see, and you certainly won't expect, because they'll have been in, they'll have played 10-plus games. So that has something to do with it as well, as just the youth of them. But like all the coaches at St. Mary's, they're not about to use that as an excuse. It's this is the team they have, and they've got to grow up really fast. And so it's one of those things that the turnovers are a part of the game. There certainly have been too many of them, but it's also something that Coach Pearson has addressed and is working on. So
I'm really liking their schedule that we have on the screen there, because after Wednesday's game here on HBC against Wisconsin Lacrosse, they actually do play a game between Christmas and New Year's at home to Wisconsin Superior, and then right away after the New Year on January 2nd, so not nearly as long as of a layoff as the men's team.
Right. Coach Pearson will bring their athletes back probably right after Christmas, because they do play on the 29th, and then you've only got a couple of days before you're back in action against St. Kate's and then Gustavus and McAllister. So that first week back is going to be very busy. The advantage they have is with no classes. Yes, they play Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, but all they have to focus on is basketball, so that you don't have that that stress of also getting your academics in, because you're playing 3 games in that week. So it's a perfect week for them to have that 3 games in a week schedule, and hopefully things will be very good for them.
All right, speaking of things being very good, that certainly is the case for the men's hockey team now, Donnie, as they have won another game since we were last here on the show for their 2nd win of the season. Mike Shaber coming up big, scoring 2 goals in a 4-2 victory over Marian University. That was a really exciting game at the SMU Ice Arena, as Brad Fusaro got the first goal of the game. What I like about the Cardinals is once the last few games here, their last few wins, they get leads, they're able to hang on, and that has been a trouble spot for them last year, the start of this year, but it seems like they're learning how to win.
And that, I think you hit it right on the head right there, and if you talk to Coach Moore, that's the first thing he's going to tell you is they're finally learning what it takes to win. Not only just to get a lead, but what it takes to hold that lead and what it takes to come away with a victory. And they've won their last 2 games. They've won 3 of their last 5 games. So things are turning around, and I think Coach Moore would be one of those people that would say, break is not coming at a good time, because I think he'd rather be playing this weekend and next weekend if he could, just because they're playing very well right now. Things are clicking. They're getting good goaltending. Their defensemen are playing outstanding, and their forwards, as I talked to Coach Moore after that Marion game, their forwards are starting to finally contribute on the offensive end, which is what they really need. And Mike Shaber getting 2 goals is a huge boost. It's the first time we've had a player score 2 or more goals in a game this season. So it's definitely a great start. And you're right, Brad Fusaro's goal was an awesome way for them to get kicked off on the game. And here's the goal right there. And as you'll watch, you'll see teddy bears flying on the ice. A great fundraiser, or not fundraiser, but a great thing for them to do for the Salvation Army. All those teddy bears that were thrown on the ice were collected and donated to the Salvation Army for Toys for Tots. So it was a really a great way to start. Huge momentum boost for them, and they carried that on to a 4-2 win.
Right. Austin Belko got another goal. He actually broke a 1-1 tie, because after that goal that you just saw by Fusaro, Marion out of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, came back and tied the game 1-1. Austin Belko gave the Cardinals the lead, and then they went on to the 4-2 win from there. And the one thing we haven't talked about is last there on the stats page, and that's Jason Horseman, outstanding in goal, stopped 17 of the shots headed his way. He really played well on this one.
Yeah, he did. And Coach Moore has the luxury of having 2 goalies, Andy Scheib and Jason Horseman, who have been playing very well. Right now, Andy's a little nicked up. He suffered an injury in the MSOE series, and so he actually didn't even dress for the Marion game, and hopefully he'll be healthy by the time they get back the 1st of January. But Jason stepped in. He needed to play well, and he did. And as all the coaches have said, you build your team from the goal out. And with Jason and Andy in goal, they've got a good 1-2 punch, and their defensemen are just outstanding. They've got a great group of defensemen who are doing a really good job. And you look at the last 2 games they've played, they've given up 3 goals in 2 games. So goalies get a lot of credit for that, but the defensemen are just as important in that type of situation.
Good to see a couple of non-conference games, too, once they come back from the Christmas break. What was the message Coach Moore had to his team as they were heading off for Christmas?
Well, get your studies done. make sure that you can skate when you can, and come back with that same hunger that they've had the last 2 games. It's it's a pretty simple message. It's one that they just need to continue to play hard, and they need to stay in shape. That's the key for all the coaches. That's the one thing that they'll say over these 3 weeks of break is the players have got to find a way to stay in shape. Whether it's hitting a weight room at their high school, whether it's in hockey, if it's skating with your high school, they've got to continue to do something, because when they come back, they'll train for a week. They play that Friday and Saturday, 2 very, very tough non-conference games against Stevens Point and then St. Norbert, which is the defending national champion. So those are going to be 2 extremely tough games. But so they've got to be in hockey shape when they come back. They can't expect to in 5 days be back to where they are now. So it's very important that they do something over the holidays.
All right, and the women's hockey team, they were not in action. They were off last week, and so they'll actually stay off until January 6th and 7th when they take on Eau Claire in an away and home matchup there, and then back to conference action against St. Olaf after that.
Yeah, we talk about staying in shape, and really for the women's team, having that extra week off because they have not competed last weekend is very important for Coach Manor, and the team did hold captain's practices, voluntary workouts last week and this week, and as they prepare for finals now starting tomorrow, so there probably won't be any hockey going on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But they've got to continue to find a way to get on the ice, get on the court. For Neil and the swimmers to stay in the pool, because once they come back, it's like you noted on the women. They come back on the 2nd and they play a conference game, so it's very important. They don't get a lot of tune-up time. So they've got to be ready and they've got to stay in shape. And some of that, you put some of that pressure or some of that responsibility on the players themselves. The coaches can tell them, hey, you got to be in shape, but it's the players who have to buy into that and make sure that they do something over the holidays to make sure that they're ready when they come back.
Yeah, they've got to do the work. So, and speaking of Neil Heacox, we'll be bringing him on momentarily. But first, Donny, Sarah Jansen, Brian Baker, they did well in the St. Catherine Diving Invitational, so just the divers in action last week.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing for them to be able to compete in just a diving competition. We talked about it last week. It's really the only other time that they get an 11-event diving competition besides the MIC Championship. So it's nice for them to get that experience of competing in an 11-dive competition. And I think Coach Lindquist and Coach Jackson were happy with the way they performed.
All right, so we'll bring Neil Heacox in next. He's one of the swimmers for the swimming and diving team. That's next here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC.
To make another stop.
Hey you, sitting at home. Do you want some free movies from HBC and Family Video? Who doesn't, right?
Well, here is how. Watch Real Attractions on HBC TV 25 and look for the mystery movie title of the week. Enter that along with your name and email address at my.hbci.com/Real Attractions. The winner gets 2 new releases from Family Video, and new winners are chosen every week.
So join me for a new episode of Real Attractions every week, right here on HBC TV 25.
This holiday season, join Fox Movie Channel for...
You gotta give up, or you're thirsty for more.
Join us. All Christmas Day.
Yes!
Ho, ho, Home Alone on Fox Movie Channel.
The Rose, Fiesta, Sugar, Orange, and the 2012 All-State BCS National Championship game. ESPN, the BCS lives here.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC Channel 25. Dean Beckman, Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau joining you, and Neil Heacox from the swimming and diving team for the Cardinals. And Neil, I've got to tell our viewers this story. When you were still in high school, I got a call from Eric Lindquist. And he said, hey, I got this prospective student coming. Eric, of course, the head coach for the swimming and diving team. And he said, I have a prospective student coming, and he's coming from San Diego. I said, what? He said, that's right, he's from San Diego, and I'd really like you to meet with him and his mom. And I don't know if you remember that, but I met with both you and your mother in my office up at St. Mary's, and it was a memorable meeting for me. I hope it was for you, and whatever happened, Coach Lindquist was able to get you to come to St. Mary's. So tell us about that recruiting experience. I know one of the things that attracted you to St. Mary's was not only the team, but also the electronic publishing major. And so maybe tell us about that whole recruiting process and how you left sunny San Diego to come to wintry Winona, Minnesota.
All right. Well, yeah, like you said, I was looking for schools. I just kind of wanted to get out of California just because I had lived there my whole life. And St. Mary's, it had a really good swimming program. And it also had electronic publishing, which I guess I like reading a lot and books. And so that whole process, I just wanted to be a part of that. And yeah, we talked to Eric Lindquist and talked to you, came for a visit. And I really liked the bluffs and the whole environment that the school had. Thought that was pretty cool. And also, when I got there, I found out that there was another girl from Hawaii there, Jen, and so it was, you know, she kind of also, you know, we talked about how it felt going from someplace very warm to someplace very cold, and just kind of bonded over that experience.
Yeah, well, talk a little bit about the adjustment from San Diego, California, very big city, to Winona, Minnesota. Was it a tough adjustment?
Well, we kind of lived about 20 minutes from downtown in the suburbs, and I actually was mistakenly under the impression that San Diego was kind of a small city. Definitely was not. Winona, when I first came here, actually, I think there was a concert going on in another town, and so nobody was here, and I was just like, where is everyone, you know? But I don't know, just people, they're Minnesota nice. It just kind of wins you over, and people are pretty sincere, and you get used to just walking around campus and seeing people all the time. I always went to private schools, so I was used to that, you know, seeing the same faces everywhere, and those made me feel really comfortable.
I also remember your first experience with snow, because I had you in a 745 class, and I remember that was a fun experience for you.
Yeah, it still happens. I mean, my friends, I think they'd always tease me and say it was like a kid getting used to snow for the first time, and I always saw snow on TV and stuff, and maybe went skiing once or twice, but I never understood that there's different types of snow, like when snow hardens and you can't really throw it at each other. And still get excited. Like whenever it snows, I'll go outside and throw a snowball at someone.
Right,
so.
right, good. But with that behind us now, tell us about your experience with the swimming and diving team. You are off to a terrific start now, your senior season.
Yeah, it's been great. I took a year off. I studied abroad in Australia, and coming back, you know, I was like, oh, I don't really know the team anymore. Most of the people I knew have graduated at this point. But we had a camping trip at the beginning, right before it started, and just really got to know everyone on a friendship basis. And as for swimming, it just, I think having that time off has just really somehow motivated me, self-motivated to do a lot better this year, and I think just being older is also part of that.
Talk, you know, you mentioned that you studied abroad for all of last year, so you didn't get any competitive swimming in. Talk a little bit about the experience in Australia, and then how maybe that re-energized you coming back.
All right. Well, Australia was very cool to see, live in another country and see that whole experience. And unfortunately, with their universities, they don't have any kind of sports programs, at least at the school I was at. And so, you know, I thought, oh, I'd go there and find someone to swim with, and there really wasn't anyone. There was a nice pool that I could walk to, And I tried to get in every once in a while, but finding the motivation, as Coach always says, like, people always think it's easy to swim by yourself, but once you do it, you realize how difficult it is just to do laps back and forth.
You should have set up some Skype practices with Coach Lindquist or something.
That would be interesting. I would hope it wouldn't cut out. But
Right.
yeah, and it was just, being by myself and, not being able to go home for Christmas and that kind of stuff just really, I guess, made me grow up a little bit and realize, I like swimming not only for the team and all that provides, but the health benefits and staying in shape. And so when I got home for the summer in San Diego, I worked out a lot at the gym and swam, and I think that really helped make me a lot stronger swimmer than I had ever been in high school.
As you come into this year now, last year of competition, do you have any goals set for yourself as you get ready for the MIC and what you'd like to achieve?
Yeah, I would, for the 100 breaststroke, I think my sophomore year I ended with a 103, and I'd really like to get a minute or less. That's really something I've always kind of been striving for. For the 200 breaststroke, there's a record on the board that I'd like to beat. It's a little bit of a stretch, but I think, since I've been doing so well, I'll be able to maybe pull it off. So those are my two goals.
Now, Neil, the team is taking over the Christmas break sort of a team bonding trip, sort of a training trip. They're going to the Bahamas, you said, is that right?
Yeah.
And now you're not able to go along on this trip after having spent the entire year last year in Australia, but as you alluded to earlier with that camping trip at the start of the season, these kinds of training programs and bonding trips can really bring a team together, and especially as you get set for conferences in February there.
Yeah, it's really great. I'm excited for them to go just because as a senior, I came back having been gone a year and was like, everyone older than me is gone. Like, I have to be the one that sets things in motion, puts on social things, spend time with the team. And I've been really surprised how well it's gone. And I think there's actually a lot more friendships and more people hang out as a team than in previous years. And so for the trips to Nassau, Bahamas, I think that'll be really fun for them. Some days, like, Coach will take off so you can go visit certain places, go to different beaches or scuba dive. And the training will really bring the strength out of everyone. I went to Hawaii my freshman year with them, and that helped a lot, and double practices, and you can't beat practicing in the sun.
Right,
so.
Absolutely. It'll be a good trip for them, I'm sure. What's it like watching Mark Ross as he develops and really takes on a leadership role for this team? He's only a junior. He'll get better and better, but he's having an outstanding year as well.
He's always been strong. I know that when he first John Fox, he graduated, and then I was kind of excited because I was like, oh yeah, I'm one of the fastest people on the team now, and then Mark Ross came along, and you're just like, oh, he's so fast. But it probably keeps me motivated,
Sure.
and he just swims right through the water like you've never seen, and when he first came on, he was a bit shy and didn't talk much, but he's really as a captain, he's really kind of
developing that role.
Kept the team together.
All right, Neil, thanks for being on the show. Good luck the rest of your senior season here.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's going to do it for Cardinals Nest here on HBC. Thanks for watching.